Hello YouTube audience, today is March 27th, 2021 and I would like to repot these two Japanese maples into bonsai pots. So I have these two Japanese maple. The one on the left is the variety is Fire Glow. The one on the right, the variety name is Ukigumu. So they've both been first pruned, has been through a hard structural pruning last fall, and now it's the buds are swelling. Let's see if I can show the buds. You can see the tip of these buds, and even some of them, the leaves start to form. So it's a sign that it's the perfect time to repot. So in generally speaking, the best time to repot is in early spring, but specifically for each plant, the time is slightly different. Some plants would start to push earlier in the year, some plants start to push later in the year. So the better way to judge when is the best time to repot is not look at the calendar, but look at the plant itself. So this is a plant that's ready for repot. The buds start to swell and the leaves starting to form. So I've seen another YouTuber in the Seattle area, although we are in the same area, he's repotting way early. So by the end of February, he has almost finished repotting his Japanese maples. The reason why he is early is he put his maple in a unheated greenhouse, so it's protected during the winter. That's why the tree start to push early compared to mine, which is unprotected. I put them out on my balcony the whole winter. Even during the polar vortex, they are just buried under snow. So my Japanese maples push later. So even you are in the same area, you cannot just look at when other people repot. Your microenvironment and your circumstances could be different, whether you protect your tree or you do not protect your tree, whether you have a south facing, you put them in the sun or you don't have much sunlight. They all affect when the tree is going to start pushing new leaves, and that dictates the best time to repot. At this time, the leaves, buds start to swell. That means the energy that's stored in the root system during the winter start to flow towards the branches. So it's a good time to prune the roots because the energy has start get into the top of the tree. And if you prune too early, the energy is still in the roots, and you prune off the roots, then the plant would have no energy to push. So that's why this is a good time to do it. If you watch some of my videos, you may notice my way of doing bonsai is a little bit rush. So the other thing is, because it has been through a structural pruning, which is a drastic surgery. almost all the branches are cut off, including a major trunk chop. It is in fact best to leave the plant this year and just let it grow for a whole year and repot next year. That would even be better. But because my life circumstances, I may be moving next year, and depends on where I move to, I may or may not be able to keep these trees. So I want to kind of get them to some level of finishing. So try to get them into a bonsai pot, which I got in the Bonsai Northwest before the store closed. So it's our local bonsai supply, bonsai special store that supply pots, plants, and things like that, but it closed during the pandemic. So I got some supply before it closed. So I want to put them into these bonsai pots. Also, the other aspects of me being rushed is that it's actually not the best stage of development to put them into bonsai pots. These are in an early stage of training to become bonsai. So these normal plant pots, it's actually good for them to rapidly grow. So one of the best things is just to let them stay in these pots and let them grow like crazy. It's actually good for their development. Something even better is put them into this thing, which is called a Anderson flat, which you can see the bottom is full of holes, full of drainage, and it's a shallow container. This is normally used as a seed trade, but it's actually one of the ideal training container to put your pre-bonsai into. So the best thing at this stage is put these three into an Anderson flat and use the original soil that's rich in organics and mix with a large amount of pumice, which is good for draining. So this way the tree will develop quickly. Both the top and the roots will develop quickly. So in those professional bonsai nurseries in Japan, they may train a tree from scratch, meaning from cutting from seedlings for 25 years before they sold the tree. And 20 years of the development, the tree will stay in these type of training pot, or they like to make those wooden boxes, but they are similar. The function is similar. They provide a lot of space for the roots to grow, a lot of drainage, which is great for root development, and also it's a shallow container. You can put it in this for training too, a normal plant, normal nursery container too, but it's not going to develop a good spreading root base. But in a shallow container, it's going to do better. But for my life circumstances, I would like to rush them a little bit, directly put them into a bonsai container. If I move and I cannot take the trees with me, I can give it to someone as a gift easier, versus I put them in these pots and these training pots, and it's better for their development, but I don't know how to give them away. So okay, so now I'm going to one more thing would be the soil I use. People like to ask this question. For training, you don't need special soil. just nursery soil that's rich in bark, rich in organic, and adding maybe 1 part nursery soil, 2 part pumice. That would be perfect for training. I mean, for this stage. For a mature tree, normally you put it in 1 part pumice, 1 part akadama, which is again a soil probably produced in the city of Akadama in Japan, which is called akadama. Akadama is a type of clay that's harvested in the ground, and they bake it. So here it said bake in 300 degrees C. So they bake it and break them into these small pieces. So it's good for maintaining water and fertilizer and also air. So ideal for root growth, ideal for bonsai too. But for early development, akadama is expensive and it's imported from Japan. So you don't have to use that. So pumice is easy to get. Anywhere you go, you can get pumice. So just mix some normal organic soil and pumice. That will do. For this, I'm going to, because I'm running out of pumice, I'm going to add some pumice, some akadama, and some the original soil. So probably 1:1:1 ratio, and try to repot it in the bonsai pot. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the time lapse now, and I will see you after that. I just finished repotting this 2 Japanese maple, and this is a after look. So for the fire glow on the left, I repotted into a true bonsai pot, and it's going to develop from here. The fire glow on the left actually have a relatively good root system, has a good nibari, and near the nibari there are a lot of fine feeder roots. And although there is a tap root, as most nursery plant, nursery plant from normal normal plant nursery, not from a bonsai nursery, it has a pretty thick tap root, but I was able to cut off the tap root. So this is a part of it. If you look at it, it's very thick. I was able to cut off the tap root, and because there are so much fine feeder roots supporting the nibari, I think this would be fine. And I can also show you the root that's matted on the bottom of the pot. This is the root that I cut off. That's just on the bottom of the root. What happened is because the drainage hole is near the bottom, there are a lot of air near the bottom, and roots love to have air. So a lot of roots is going to grow near the bottom of the pot, and a lot of root is going to grow near the surface of the soil, because these two places have the most air, and root growth need air. And that's why the top and bottom has so many roots, and the middle part normally don't have that much root, so all that space is wasted. So you actually don't need to pot a tree in a very deep pot, because the middle space, although there are soil in there, the air is not that accessible to the roots. So the middle part is not normally you don't see the most dense root growth in the middle part of a pot like this, just come from a nursery. So this is this tree. Hopefully, I hope it survives. I cut off about 70% of all the roots, which for a healthy deciduous tree, that should be fine. But of course, it's also species dependent. So I hope this one survive. Normally it should, but depends on whether this species like root pruning or not. Each species has different tolerance for root pruning. So I hope that this fire glow would survive. And on the right, it's my ukigumu Japanese maple, which will definitely survive, because I almost did no root pruning, because the root system is too horrible. No amount of root pruning can correct it, which I will address in a different video. That's a almost 40-minute long video. But the gist of it is, because the root system is too horrible, I cannot put that into a bonsai pot. It would not make sense to put such a tree in a bonsai pot. So I put it back into a training pot with a lot of drainage. As I mentioned, the air. These holes are going to allow a lot of air, a lot of root growth. What I did was I did a ground layering, or air layering near the root base, right above the root base that I want, and I hope that this would generate a root plane that's desirable. So this part is basically the air layer, and I hope that it's going to allow root growth from there, and after, I think next year, there would be enough time for this tree to generate a new root plane. After that happens, I'm going to take this apart and cut off the original root system entirely, and leave behind the air layer root base that supports the nibari. And after that happens, I probably will put the tree in this bonsai pot, which I have prepared, selected last year for this tree. But unfortunately, this year I'm not able to put it into the bonsai pot that's selected for it, because I didn't examine the root system, and it's not the most desirable root system to put into a bonsai pot with. So this is the two Japanese maple. I repotted this year, and I hope you enjoy this video, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.